Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar where today we're going to be discussing debtors management and more particularly the utilisation of an SME debtors systems manual. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of BIZTOOls. If you have any questions during this webinar, can you either go to your computer and into chat, type in your question and I will answer it later in the webinar. Or if you're watching this webinar on a live feed or you're watching at a time more suitable for yourself, please send me an email with your question, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Let's have a look at some of the issues. 3.5 years ago, this was the headline all around Australia and indeed the world. Longest debtors days outstanding in the world. That title was awarded. It was a very dubious title that was awarded to Australia in 2016. At that time, according to the organisation that conducted the review, Australia's debtors days outstanding was 26.4 days over the acceptable limit of 30 days, obviously making it 56.4 days. At the time, Kate Carnell, the Australian Small Business Ombudsman, indicated that debtors was the silent killer of modern business. And she also indicated that 90% of small business failures in Australia are due to poor cash flow management. And obviously, debtors is a large component in many SMEs' cash flow management situation because people have got to give credit to make sales. The Anthill magazine published an article last year which indicated current debtors days outstanding of 56 days. And I haven't been able to find any more recent reports than that. So 56 days was the figure that they had calculated. So in 3.5 years since the original report had been published, debtors days outstanding in Australia is only reduced by 0.4 days. And during that time, the Prime Minister has urged Australian government departments and state and territory government departments to improve the speed by which they pay SMEs. And the federal government claims that this has been implemented. And the Prime Minister also urged big business to pay SMEs within 30 days. So debtors management, it's a very important area for accountants, bookkeepers, business advisors, and chief financial officers offering services. But let me share with you a couple of other comments from the article produced by Anthill magazine. The range of payment times that were taken into account in the calculation of 56 days outstanding range from 7 days, wonderful, to virtually extremely challenging 134 days. Fancy having on 134 days as your average debtors days outstanding. The Scottish Pacific CEO, Peter Langon, who was widely quoted in this report, indicated that while the average is 56 days for SMEs, for those SMEs in the component of $1 to $10 million in sales, and there's a lot of those businesses around Australia, and most of them are the clients of small or medium-sized accountancy firms. The average there was 66 days. Scottish Amical also indicated that most SMEs have got 1/3 of their turnover tied up in monies owing to them as debtors. That's the problem. And that's the problem that we faced after reading these reports. BIZTOOls prides itself that we're able to produce tools and documents and papers and prototypes to assist accountants to be able to implement services to help SMEs. So we decided we would write a Debtors Systems Manual. And that's what we're going to discuss with you today. And I'll now bring up the ESS BIZTOOLS website, and we will be able to share that with you. There's this on the screen now, and these individual products here are all part of the ESS BIZTOOLS Gold package, or Advanced package, as we're changing the name to. And these are all shown there. And we're now going to go through and find the SME Debtors Systems Manual and click onto it. And we will then be able to download the content and show you what is able to be gleaned from this information. And I'm just so the first thing I want to show you is the procedure control form. This is a form which you can utilize to guide you through the process, to help you understand the order that some of these items should be looked at, in our opinion, but also to have an overview of where you're at with a particular client. We have 24 product packages within ESS BIZTOOLS, and each one of them has one of these procedure control forms. So that's the purpose of that document. It just guides you through and helps you get this process underway. The next item I want to show you is the debtor system checklist. The form is now on your screen, the debtor system checklist. It's a form that you can utilize to check off that everything's been reviewed and looked at as you work your way through what we think are the components of debtors management. And you'll notice we've got an item here called Personal Property Securities Register, and I'll come back to that a little bit later on. But it's very important that there's an understanding of how this process works. And what we're doing here is putting together a systems manual that the person in your client's organization who has the responsibility of administering debtors has got some sort of system in front of him or her. Unfortunately, my observations are in many offices, the system is bits of paper, stickers on sides of computers or filing cabinets. I think part of the problem that we're now confronting in Australia, 3.5 years after this report was produced, and after the government has embarked on trying to make sure that SMEs are paid within 30 days, is that the problem may well now be in the hands of SMEs, your clients. Do they have an adequate system? And that's what we're attempting to assist you to solve, working with your clients. So that's the form that you can utilize for an overall review. And all this, when we finish, is going to be embedded within an overall systems manual that you can badge with the name of your client, your name on it, of course, and review how they're going on it periodically. The next item I want to show you is an application to open an account. I think far too many of SMEs just blindly go ahead and allow people to have credit. Well, that's not very smart these days, and that also contributes to this enormous debtors days outstanding problem. So that what we're trying to do here is to get the information that's required to open an account that you require, whether it's an individual or it's a sole trader, a partnership or a company. and to work its way through the system so that you make sure you get the right information. The next one I want to show you is what the process could be if you decide to decline credit, because this happens, of course, or it should happen, that some people have their credit application declined. And when that happens, I think it's appropriate that a formal response goes back, because that person could be a customer, or could be a potential customer, or could be someone in the community that can influence other people. So conclude the deal in a business-like manner and send them a letter advising that you're unable to grant them credit. The next one we want to look at is the letter which welcomes a new customer. Now, I personally believe that this is very important. Far too many businesses don't utilize this opportunity, which is really only there once. It's the opportunity to really welcome into your group of supporters a new customer. So why not give them a letter welcoming them, telling them about your new promotions, making sure the sales department's alerted that they've got a new customer, and taking the opportunity to confirm your payment terms, and also confirm the details of any special arrangements that the new customer wants implemented relative to their invoices or their statements. The customer may require a weighbridge certificate to be supplied with each invoice, or a health certificate, or some other sort of documentation. It's important that the system makes sure this then happens, because this can be the excuse for not making payment. And the other big problem I find is that some clients say, here are our cutoff dates. We must have the tax invoices by the 5th day of the following month. And if your client only sends them out on the 6th or the 7th day, they won't get paid, because they won't be batched up and sent to the head office for payment. They'll have to wait another 30 days. And that's one of the contributing factors. In fact, I think it's a huge contributing factor as to why Australian debtors days outstanding are so high. So this is a letter that could also have attached to it the terms of trade agreement and the retention of title agreements, especially if your client wants to look at their opportunities to list customers on the personal property securities register to protect their interest, because debtors are one of the assets that can be registered, of course, on the personal property securities register. And there's been a lot of problems with some businesses, particularly tradies, with preferential payment claims being lodged by liquidators, that for some reason it's alleged that the tradie business, potentially your client, got paid more on a proportionate basis than what the other creditors of the business got paid, and the liquidator's looking for a repayment. Just a word of warning, when all this got some publicity a couple of years ago, some liquidators contacted us. In fact, one liquidator appeared on a webinar with me and said, be careful, because some unscrupulous liquidators are claiming in webinars that they will process a claim for the total amount that was paid in the 6-month period to a business. Now that's not right. It's got to be a preferential payment. So his recommendation in the webinar was make the liquidator go in front of the courts and prove that it in fact was a preferential payment. Now your client could have protected themselves from all this drama and costs if they'd registered that customer on the personal property securities register. I think you should look at it and make sure your client understands it, and put in writing if the client then declines to implement these sorts of protections, because one day there may be an issue where they're looking at you and saying, why didn't you tell me this? Well, if you have told them, make sure it's recorded. in writing, I think, is the best hint that I can give you. Okay, let's move on. Internal advice to that there's a new customer. The customer that we've just approved may have originally been spoken to by a marketing or salesperson 3 weeks ago. And then they had to receive the application form and get round to filling that in and send it in. And the company is, or business has then gone through and approved it. And we're just getting around now to sending them the welcome to new customer letter with the terms of trade and the retention of title. And there's been an introduction to the marketing and sales people. I think your office should be alerting, or the client's office should be alerting their sales department and probably their marketing department that we've now got that new customer. So perhaps someone will get on the phone and talk to them and welcome them, and we can get some sales underway. It's that type of attitude that form is there for. So it motivates the sales team to have a little cheer and say, gee, we can get onto this new customer and talk to them about what they really require. I've mentioned the Personal Property Securities Register a couple of times. Let's have a look at it. So we've prepared a summary of the issues that we think can affect a client, your client, from the point of view of debtors management with the Personal Property Securities Register. So we've listed some of the items in this form, which you can go through and look at and discuss with your client. And one of the big issues, of course, is the Ramalpa clauses are no good anymore. I don't really know if they were ever any good, but they were used by a lot of businesses. But I still see them in various invoices that have been sent around, and they're literally not worth the paper they're written on anymore. People need terms of trade and retention of title agreements. So that's the problem with the Personal Property Securities Register. Let's have a look now at the debtor system staff training. This is a form we've introduced into the system to guide the accounting team, first of all, to have a full review, to make sure you've looked at everything and make sure that the accounting team that's undertaking this review of a debtor system has looked at it and understands what these forms are all about. The credit application, does the tax invoice incorporate the retention of title clauses so as to comply with the Personal Property Securities Act? The director's guarantees, I never showed you the actual guarantee form. We have a sample in the system, but it's very important that your client's person looking after debtors understands the importance of that company director guarantee form, isn't it? And make sure it's filed in a permanent file, because it might not be required, hopefully ever, but it might not be for 6 or 7 years. We don't want to find out it's then been thrown out and shredded because someone thought it was too old. Welcome the new customer letter, the new customer control sheet that's in the system also to assist in making sure everything's been looked at. Because the person that's got this job looking after debtors, I don't think half the time they've got any idea of the ramifications of what they're involved in. And this is a big item. Now, when you look at the potential that 29, 30, even higher, 35, 40% of a business's sales for a year could be reflected in debtors' days outstanding, that's an enormous cost. By tightening up on the system, I think you can influence your client being able to reduce that figure, and in so doing, significantly reduce some of their problems with cash flow. They've got more money. The customer purchase system, the debtor statements. What do they do with debtor statements? I think a lot of businesses need to make a decision. Do they really need to still send out debtor statements, or should, on each of the tax invoices, should they be marking the due date for payment, and then 3 or 4 days before that due date, sending a text or an SMS message to the client, the customer, reminding them that payment's due? That might speed up the process a lot more. And with debtor statements, they should be issued within 48 hours at the end of the month, not 24 days later or dates around that. But I've seen some debtor statements are very long coming out. And what happens? The business that receives debtor statements always waits for them, don't they? So if they don't get delivered to them until 24 days later, some people still mail them. They should be emailed. So these are the areas where I think you can really influence with your clients. And all this is in the notes, of course, that you can talk to them about this as a way of improving the flow of information on debtors to them. Debtors monitoring. So that form's there for you to be able to assist. We've talked about debtors days outstanding continually. So I'm just going to bring up the special calculation sheet we've included, because I find that many SMEs have got no idea what their debtors days outstanding are. And then they turn around and ask me, how do they calculate it? Well, we've put a calculator into the system. As a subscriber, you can download this, obviously, and incorporate it within what you're going to supply to your client. And they can calculate their own, because I think this is one of the most important key performance indicators in the financial area that a business can get. Gross profit percentage is probably the most important, I think, and then the debtors days outstanding, and have it as a targeted figure in the business that everyone knows about. We're currently on 56 days. Our aim is to get to 40 days over the next 12 months. And that reduction in 16 days put on the wall, how much does that represent in cash? Improvements in the business's cash flow position. Make sure everyone understands it. So that form hopefully will assist you, whereby you can insert the figures and the calculator will do the calculations for you. And last but not least, in this Cook's tour of what we've got in this product package, let's bring up the actual debtors systems manual, so you can have a look at it and hopefully decide that this would be a great tool for you to be able to use. And incidentally, this product package on debtors management is included within the ESS BIZTOOLS Business Advisory Services Starter Package, which we've currently are featuring in a major promotion, 50% discount. So you can get this product and a whole range of others for only $999 for 12 months subscription in our current promotion, which runs through to the 6th of September. So there's the commercial. Okay, so this is the SME Debtor Systems Manual prepared by ABC Accountants for XYZ. Obviously, you date it. It's a fairly extensive document. This is a template. You can edit it. You can customize it to suit clients' requirements. If clients call something a little bit different, change the name so that in this document, so that it's closer to what their understanding is. But it's a very important, I believe, that there is a written system. And it's a system that my suggestion is you say to your client, you're going to monitor how it's going at least every year. Go in for 2 or 3 hours, review it, make sure the person looking after debtors clearly understands how the whole system operates. So I'm just slowly going through the index here so you can see the type of matters which we're covering in this package. And there's a number of addendums. So we've set the system up that there's an item and there's some notes that the person can make some notes. I often refer to this person as being the poor person, and I think they are. It tends to be a bit of a thankless job in most organisations looking after the debtors. And I've also noticed it seems to be filled by a more recent employee. I think others just pass the buck on it. It shouldn't be treated like that. This is a major asset for your clients. And I think the written system is going to give it some credibility that this is an important position. Even if you have no bad debts, if you've got your client running at a 70-day debtors days outstanding, it's not good business. It should be far better. And as I said earlier, a lot of businesses really don't understand what their debtors days outstanding is and what it could be. I had someone at a seminar I was conducting a couple of years ago. It said, well, how much should we have tied up in debtors? And I said, well, what's yours? Debtors days outstanding. And the lady said, I don't know. I said, why don't you know? I don't know how to calculate it. I said, what's your turnover? It was just over $3.8 million. What's your debtors? And she told me a figure. It was 102 days. I said, yeah, I think you can improve on that. And currently they're back around 60 days. So they've had a dramatic improvement. It's a lot of money in their cash flow that's come in because we sat down and went through and implemented this system. Okay, so we look at introduction to effective debtors management. And part of this is to educate the person that's trying to do this job and their supervisor. And also some of it rubs off on the marketing and sales department because they come into the play. Because they've got a big role to play, haven't they? They're the ones originally talking to the potential new customer. So setting up an effective system. So we discuss and tell them why the credit application form is so important. We tell them what the director's guarantee form's all about and why it's important. Important that it's kept forever, as long as that business is a client of your or customer of your clients. We got the declining a credit application, internal advice of a new customer, how the personal property securities register works, not a whole full manual on it. We have that in ESS BIZTOOLS if you want to subscribe for that. But and that's in our gold package, but giving enough information for the person that's looking after debtors to have an appreciation and to understand there's some urgency in getting these terms of trade and retention of title agreements back from the new customer. The new customer due diligence, have we gone through and looked at everything? Approving a prospective customer. That I don't think that should be the role just of the person looking after debtors, but he or she needs to go through their work and then pass it on, presumably to the office manager and possibly even to the manager of the business who will issue the final approval. And it should be that person that's signing the welcome to new customer letter. This should be an important event to celebrate a new customer coming on board. Being diligent in transactions. I found this quote a few years ago in a BRW magazine. Remember BRW? The impact of change of debt collection practices cannot be understated. It is twofold. One is the sales team who have the most contact with the customers and must be involved in making sure accounts are settled, or in other words, paid. The second is to raise the profile of the debt collection team internally so that they can get senior salespeople on the phone to remind customers about bills. I think you should be emphasizing to your client that a sale is not a sale until it's paid for. And the salespeople have an ongoing involvement to make sure that that new customer pays. It's not someone else's problem. The quote goes on to say, this takes a change of mindset. The lesson that if you want good debt collection, then you have to have good debt collectors. And that includes the sales team, I think. Okay, so establish procedures for order taking so that there's a check made. If the client's already over the established credit limit, they shouldn't be selling any more product to them. But how many times do you know that that happens? Because there's not a system. Hopefully this will be the system. The tax invoices, the due date for payment, prominently shown on those invoices, I think is very important. Make sure people understand the terms of trade. Debtor statements we've talked about. They have got to be a very prompt email delivery to the customer, I think, if you want to get payments made. The proactive monitoring of debtors. Do you use an online debt management system? We refer to one there. System to ensure prompt payment. I've talked about some of them already. Making sure that tax invoices are emailed to the clients and making sure that any additional information or documentation that the client specified that they want, they get, because otherwise they won't pay. Your clients need to appreciate that. They need to be in the system. Have a senior member of the team contact the clients if they're behind in their payments. Make sure account queries are answered promptly, because there's no way in the world that that customer is going to pay until they get their query answered. Yet at times you'll find queries are sitting at the bottom of a great pile of paper, and in some cases they've been there for 3 or 4 weeks. Well, that's just adding to debtors days outstanding. So that's the review of the system that hopefully gives you an idea of the approach that we've taken in preparing this type of documentation for you as accountants, bookkeepers, business advisors, or chief financial officers to be able to implement with your clients. And hopefully that will help you in the delivery of those services to your clients. So we've done the review of ESS BIZTOOLS, and hopefully you now have a good understanding of what the SME Debtor Systems Manual could do for your clients. I just want to bring you up to date with upcoming webinars. We are committed to running webinars on explaining the contents of the Business Advisory Services Starter Package once a week. So the next one's Tuesday, the 17th of August at 12 noon AEST, where we're going to look at client seminars and webinars. Do you know that ESS BIZTOOLS has 36 pre-prepared, ready-to-use client seminars available to a gold or advanced subscriber within our package that we've developed for starter package? There are 12 of those, and we're going to demonstrate one of them, the characteristics of a well-run business, which I think is probably our most important paper in the whole of ESS BIZTOOLS, and there's thousands of pages in the total system, and a very important webinar. So that's on the 17th of August. But also on Friday, the 20th of August at 12 noon, we have predictive accounting. This is a joint venture which we have entered into with Plan Guru, a USA company that's now operating in 55 countries with their 3-in-1 financial forecasts, budgets, cash flow forecasts, and projected balance sheets. I'm going to be joined by the marketing director of Plan Guru from California, Trip Graham, who is going to outline their vision, where they're going, what they're doing in further development of their software. And also Paul Barnaby, who's the Australasian representative for Plan Guru, but he's also a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and he's the managing director of Beyond Accounting Technologies, and he is a guru on predictive accounting. And I think you'll find what he's got to say very, very interesting. And also Paul's going to announce the new package that we are implementing to give some professional development training within predictive accounting. So you might find that very interesting. So that's on Friday, the 20th of August. And on the Wednesday, the 25th of August, at 12 noon AEST, we have a retail pricing calculator, aligning product mixes and markups to earn targeted profits. This is a big issue for retailers and wholesalers. We'll take you through the system which we have developed, which is getting used by hundreds of accounting firms around Australia to help their retail clients earn their targeted profit. Because it's a real mixture, isn't it? In retailing, you've got all different types of product types. We can't have all stars, so there's cash cows in there. There's real problem lines, you know, last year's fashions, and especially in ladies' fashions. If it's the wrong color, you got no chance of selling it this year. So what do you do with it? And then you got the real bad lines, which is low markup and low volume. You shouldn't have them in your store, but everyone's got them. What do they do with them? And how's all this fit together with trying to earn the profit that management has set for the business? Because it's all variable. You don't want them selling all cash cows, because they'll sell a lot, but they won't make enough money. So we'll have a look at that on that date. And within our system also, we have some business health checks, and we're going to look at pharmacies and supermarkets, 2 of them. There's 6 business health check products prepared at this stage. We'll show you how you can use them. Business health checks, the way we've established them, go further than benchmarking, but it's within your own organization. But if you had half a dozen businesses of the same category, you could set up your own benchmarking service. Some accountants are doing that around Australia in all sorts of industries. Why can't you with your clients? So hopefully that will give you something to think about. If you want to go to any of those webinars, please register at www.essbiztools.com.au and scroll down to upcoming webinars. Now, we have a big promotion on at present, which we've extended because of the problems from the COVID-19 lockdowns, which is obviously affecting a lot of Australia at present. A lot of accountants are affected. So the innovation package, and these are all 50% discounts, and that covers research and development, accelerating commercialization grant, raising capital as an early stage innovation company, all that material. You can get that for $2,500 for 12 months access. The business advisory services starter package that I've mentioned, $999. It's a great package. If you want full details, just go onto our website and click onto the business advisory services starter package and you can see what's included. The advanced package, which was previously our gold package. Now this includes everything. So it includes what's in the starter package. It includes what's in the innovation package, and it includes what's in the chief financial officer package, which is the next one I'm going to refer to. So you can get hold of this package at a 50% discount for only $3,250. That will really get you into the market of offering business advisory services. And we prepare updates and newsletters. We produce a monthly newsletter for you to badge and send to your clients. We've just finished this month, the month of August, because it's the second Friday of a month and it's uploaded at midday on the second Friday of a month. And the Chief Financial Officer Service Package, you can have that for $1,375. That's a 50% discount. But as I said before, all of these packages are in that gold or advanced package, which you can get now for $3,250. You might be interested in some testimonials because it's always interesting to see what your peers say about someone like us. Thank you. This was a valuable session. Mark Lennon, who's a principal of Business Partners Accountants. Andrew Geddes, who many of you know. Andrew's a guru of the accounting profession. I've known him for a long time, worked with him very closely. There is a fabulous amount of material. It really helps you because you can hand out items to your clients. They can attend free webinars. There's various planning tools of different sorts that you can access and utilize with your clients. And Angelo Coco, some of the tools I've referred to and used in serving my clients over 100 times. He's talking about our tradie charge out rate calculator. I recommend the ESS toolkit to other practitioners at any opportunity I get. So I thank those people for giving us their testimonials. I thank you for watching our webinar. If you've got any questions, please contact me. There's my email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or you can go to our website and have a look at all of the material. So thank you very much for participating with us today in this webinar. As I said before, if you have any questions, please contact us. Stay safe, especially if you are in one of the areas that's subject to the lockdowns. And we all are hoping and praying that this problem that Australia and indeed the world has will be over in the not too distant future. Thank you. Have a great day. Goodbye.